Welcome again to this new episode of an Edge Conversation. Meb, we talked last time. Welcome again to this program, and we have a new guest joining us, Scott. Scott, who are you? Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks for having me here, guys. I'm the CMO at Kadiska, so I'm working, of course, in the marketing domain, but also as a member of the executive team working on corporate strategy and solution strategy. So that's how we ran into SixSq through a recent partnership we just launched together.
Excellent. We're going to talk all about Kadiska and the synergy with SixSq. But Meb, you met Scott recently in Kadiska. What struck you as a key value within Kadiska and the synergies that you saw with SixSq?
Absolutely. So, I mean, it's a pleasure to have this conversation together. So, it's nice to have you over, Scott. Yeah. So it came from the field, right? We having conversation with customers and prospect who are pushing the envelope to the far edge, and with that, the need to understand what's happening at the far edge. So there's a need for a solution to capture this and understand the user behavior or the user experience actually better. And that's where we came across Kadiska, and we thought it was a clear fit for that need, and start building the relationship through our newly announced app vendor program that fits with the marketplace that we have on the Nubla platform.
Fantastic. Scott, what is Kadiska? What do you guys do? What's your key value proposition on the market?
Yeah, Kadiska, well, I guess we started a couple of years ago just looking at what visibility gaps are starting to exist because of a real transition into the cloud, right? Also the move to SD-WAN, software as a service type applications. Those were a completely different variety of digital infrastructure for enterprises to get visibility into. And so their older systems were just unable to really manage the encrypted traffic that they're seeing. Digital experience is now defined more in the browser as users access these applications. So there was basically a visibility gap that existed, and we designed Kadiska simply to fill in those gaps and complement existing tools so you could really regain control over that end-to-end infrastructure between workers, whether they're at home, in the office, or anywhere else that they work, and these cloud-based applications that are dominating the main industries these days. I think the COVID work from home certainly still in play today. We're just getting some stats from Gartner last week that said there's still 58% of employees that are working in either a hybrid or permanent work from home type position in the kind of jobs that can facilitate that. So that really impacted IT. They're still working through the reality that this will become a long-term transition and have to start really looking at the work from home employee digital experience.
Yeah, I would add to this. I mean, it's true that the enterprise is more distributed than it ever was, and when we talk to service providers and telcos, they're embracing this move, but they also have the need to understand, when tickets come in, to be able to do a smarter triage, right? Where is the problem? Pinpoint, with evidence and metrics exactly what is the issue, and without having that visibility extended to the edge is really hard to do. So it's becoming a must to have that type of visibility at the far edge, and this is where the Kadiska agent that we can deploy, fits perfectly in that picture.
Well, Scott, you were in the preparation of this of this discussion. You were highlighting how the market is transitioning fast to the distributed enterprise, and how users need to access business critical application, and that over 80% of those applications are delivered through a SaaS model, and that users actually report problems sometimes for accessing those apps, and those are invisible to IT systems, and that sometimes there's a lack of monitoring of the quality and performance of networks when accessing those applications. How does Kadiska help simplify this whole engagement and quality of service of application to the extended enterprise? What are you guys offering?
Yeah, you're hitting on a very important topic for any IT professional in terms of getting, about 40% of the calls into the help desk are about issues they don't even know or can't confirm using the tools they have. And it's not because they can't measure it. There's a lot of tools that IT has on hand. It's just that it needs multiple tools to be correlated by multiple groups for that kind of insight to become actionable. So if you really want to know whether the problem's in the network, in the browser, with a host like Salesforce, you have to understand the context of the SaaS application, the user's digital experience, their actual endpoint device infrastructure, and also the connectivity between them, which is today extremely complex with SD-WAN, but also just simply ISPs and the security perimeter we talked about. So what Kadiska realized early on is that the biggest problem IT faces is really just understanding who owns the problem. After you get to the point where you know whether it's a network or it's a specific service provider or it's a vendor for your SaaS application, it's usually fairly straightforward to have a good conversation with them if you have the evidence that they can understand in their own terms. So what Kadiska did was take the digital experience monitoring piece, a detailed in-depth network path tracing and performance analysis and application monitoring for digital applications in the cloud and SaaS, and integrate them into a single platform so you can easily pivot from one to the other and understand how they're impacting each other. So within maybe 30 seconds to a minute, you can determine very quickly whether the problem should be addressed by network operations, IT operations, or someone who's in vendor management should be giving a service provider a call. Those are the kind of value you can extract out of a platform that sees things from different perspectives.
So you complement existing monitoring tools to help reveal issues in SaaS quality delivery services to the user. Is that it?
Yeah, if you think about it, if you're looking at a network engineer, right, they have plenty of tools to really see in depth exactly how they configure the network. They have all the change logs, all the information coming in from flow statistics and all that, but often they can't pinpoint exactly what's happening to a specific user or if there's a traffic routing problem across the internet. Same thing is true if you're an SRE kind of DevOps engineer and you're trying to figure out where on the website application you have, is there actually a performance issue? Is it in caching? Is it in something as arcane as like TLS 1.3 setup? Is it some sort of resource like an oversized image or a transaction or a JavaScript that's taking too long to execute? All of those things, they have tools to do that with APM analysis software, but they kind of need to know exactly where to start. And they have to agree between teams that that ownership is there. And I think that's the kind of tool that was necessary, because the existing tooling that's out there is really used by specialists. One or two people in each organization understand how to drive an APM solution to that level of depth. The network tools are also fairly complicated, but when you talk to CIOs and business line owners who have the budget and the ones who are actually impacted from business performance itself, they want something simpler where they can eliminate the war room, get these teams working together, and just essentially try to resolve the problems. You usually don't have to get down to a Wireshark level to really understand exactly what's going on.
I think one of the things you do extremely well is this sort of agent collector architecture, where you're able to correlate and bring together a single point of to aggregate basically several observables, into a synthetic view, and that is even more required when you start to go to the far edge, because there are many pieces, and like you're saying, the route is not trivial, right? And you can't predict it most of the time. So without those types of real-time measurements, it's tricky. And just to add the relevance of this for so many applications deployed at the edge is, again, this agent dashboard or agent backend architecture, where there's that play between something that is done, delivering value at the edge, but still the edge is always, it's at the edge of something, and that something is often in the cloud, right? So you still need to coordinate those two elements, and the visibility your solution provides is quite key in that respect.
So I'm trying to nail down in my head the value of Kadiska and SixSq, so Nuvla.io, your product, MEB in SixSq, the value of the two of you to an organization that is listening to us that has an extended enterprise.
Mhm.
Um, Meb, your Nuvla.io solutions enable the easy, simple, and secure deployment of applications on the edge. And then, Scott, does your Kadiska solution enable a quality delivery assurance of the services from applications? Did I get this right, or do you want to
Yeah,
That's
phrase
a good
it
way to put
differently?
it.
pretty good. So from our perspective, it's an app, right? The agent
Yeah.
that will be deployed at the edge, wherever Nuvla Edge runs, it's a one-click deployment app, that will securely connect to the collector, the dashboard that Kadiska provides. It's as simple as that. So it's from an app perspective, it's just yet another app. It's no different from
Mhm.
a machine learning application that might process a video stream, or an application that might do predictive analysis on an audio stream. So it's the same process. The value is different, right? That's what the Kadiska solution that is provided.
When you look at the enterprises we normally work with at Kadiska, they tend to be the largest Fortune 500s in retail or manufacturing, service industries. And what they'll typically do for monitoring is they'll install some test capabilities like our NetTracer app in their large headquarter or manufacturing sites, for example. But as we pointed out, these retailers, these manufacturers are becoming highly distributed. They have a lot more sites that are being monitored with that kind of technique. So that's where SixSq comes in, allows you to extend the apps that we have that can trace the network, can monitor, can look at the performance of applications, and distribute those across a massive footprint as far as we need to distribute it both to the cloud as well as these remote branches, which would be less practical for IT to deploy this kind of capability otherwise. So that's the main advantage of it. And an example of it would be one example would be a retailer we're working with in home renovation, which really wanted to digitize aggressively during the pandemic, took that opportunity to digitally transform their point of sale, their in-store advertising, their apps that customers will use while they're in the store to get discounts, and also the infrastructure behind their logistics and inventory. And a lot of those were migrated to SaaS applications, and the ones that were legacy kind of data center applications got shifted into like the Google cloud platform at the same time. So a lot of things changed, and because of that, they needed to deploy SD-WAN to keep affordable, high resilience connectivity. Because if you have a SaaS application as your point of sale terminal checkout and it doesn't work, you're losing money, you're losing business, and your customers get highly irritated waiting in line for some other approach, right? So a solution like SixSq and Nuvla.io allows us to deploy that kind of endpoint monitoring extremely rapidly across a diverse set of locations, and especially nicely tied with SD-WAN because they tend to be at the locations where you have the most critical traffic analysis that's needed.
Excellent. How both of you work to ensure continuous customer success? I mean, it's everybody's talking about customer success, but what do you materially do to ensure that this constant innovation and proximity to customers?
Well, we've put a simple process in place for the marketplace, where app vendors like Kadiska have a simple, very simple way to update their software in a controlled manner, so that customers are notified when there's a new version of software, for example, that's available. And there's a one-click deployment uh, capability in the platform to ensure that that is pushed consistently across the fleet. And then, of course, we monitor the environment in which the Kadiska agent is running, so that there's a clear separation of concern on site. And then inside that, there's the environment where Kadiska runs under their own control.
All right, Scott, from your end, how do you help enable that customer success?
I think one of the most important part is related to what Mev is talking about. You need to have an absolute simplicity in the solutions you provide so that people can actually embrace their full capabilities. If it's difficult to deploy, or the user interface is complicated, or you need to do an upgrade or add a new capability and it takes a team of people, we're often seeing that kind of technical debt is just too much for a lot of organizations to handle. So part of customer success really means their ability to have an automatic self-driving platform that takes care of itself, so they can focus on really working on the actionable insight and doing something with the data. We know that like IT staff probably spend upward of 60% of their time maintaining systems and closing tickets and doing things, but they don't get to those proactive kind of optimization projects and migration projects that they know will really make a big difference in the business impact. So when you start seeing that, you realize that if you have ability to distribute things quickly, if you have a very simple deployment model, and you have a simple software that has the power inside it of analytics to give insight immediately in the moment, in the context of the user, that's part of really giving the IT team what they need to do their job. But I guess it also comes back to the revision control and the constant updates that are also part of it. And we listen to our customers just like anyone does. But of course, there's a lot of diverse demands. When you get into retail and manufacturing, they have very specific needs that sometimes need to be addressed, and that requires an update in the software. So it's good to know that there's a way to get an orchestrator to push that out directly to those users without having to worry about our own publication pipeline, but also they don't have to worry about updating all their own configurations. And that's really a powerful game changer in how efficiently you can deliver incremental value to the customer.
I'm hearing deployment agility and simplicity are really key to ensuring customer success, and that is a value that both of you, Kadiska and SixSq, offer through your combined solutions working together. We got 1 minute to conclude, so what's the best way to engage with you, Kadiska, and what's the best way to engage with you, Meb? So let's start with you, Scott.
Sure. Well, Kadiska is fairly straightforward. It's a product or a solution that you can see very quickly and try out for yourself. So we encourage enterprise customers to come and kick the tires, tell us what their scenario is, and within a few minutes we can usually configure the platform on a call and show them what kind of insight they should expect to have. Often they'll actually start solving the problems while we're having these initial conversations. So as a SaaS platform, it's really easy for them to get started, and then we would refer them, if required, to one of the partners we have that would manage their local kind of needs and make sure that they get things configured and set up and trained as required. So it's fairly straightforward to engage with Kadiska simply because it is a simple platform to spin up and try out.
Very similar. We have a SaaS platform, Nuvla.io. We offer a 14 days free trial. Then they can actually deploy their own apps or go to the marketplace and deploy app vendor applications that have been certified by the vendor, and in collaboration with our tech team, so that it's a one-click deployment to put in place in this case, a Kadiska agent that will connect securely to the right dashboard in order to start collecting this information and providing the insights that Scott was describing earlier. So it's a very simple process that will yield we see and hope continue delivering very simple, straightforward, and repeatable results to monitor.
I have to attest to that because Meb, I tried to get to know more about you guys when we first met. I spun up a free trial and I actually deployed some apps that you guys have there to test with, and I have to say, as an end user who's not an IT guru myself, it really fulfills all those promises. So it was kind of a pleasure to be a guinea pig.
All right. Scott Sumner from Kadiska and Marc-Elian Bégin, Meb, from SixSq. Thank you very much for your participation of this other episode of An Edge Conversation, and we'll see you all on the next episode. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Pierre.